Hey, JK here. I want to thank you for sharing part of your day with me. Ladies and gentlemen, today we're heading to Pac-Bell Park and we're going to be talking about the San Francisco Giants. They were able to finish 4th in the NL West with a record of 80-82. This team has a lot of guys who feel like they've been in the league forever, and they have. Several of their guys have bounced around to different teams. There might have been one or two that have been with the Giants their entire career, but yeah, pretty much a lot of guys over 30, a lot of guys bounced around, and these guys have been names that you've heard of, and they've had decent years, but they can't seem to have all the years together. As we get to the team leaders for the 2024 Giants, everything went to Matt Chapman, except for triples that went to Mike Yastrzemski, stolen bases that went to Tyler Fitzgerald, and then average, on-base percentage, and slugging that went to Heliot Ramos. I do want to go ahead and start talking a little more about Tyler Fitzgerald. He finally got his big break in MLB at the age of 26. Last year he came in the league and was actually able to start 96 games after platooning a little bit and went on a few 10-game streaks where he didn't play, but for the most part, 96 games he was able to produce 15 home runs and 17 stolen bases. Again, only 96 games played, able to do that. Of his 88 hits, 15 of them were home runs, so 17% of his hits went over the fence. He also contributed double-digit doubles, so again, he was able to put himself in scoring position and obviously stealing bases on a team that doesn't normally steal bases. There were only 2 guys that had double-digit stolen bases and only 68 for the entire year. So, keep this in mind if you're looking at Willy Adames. You might look at his 20-plus stolen bases last year and think, oh, he's going to do it again. No. Or very unlikely because the Giants don't steal a lot. Tyler Fitzgerald did play outfield. He does also have shortstop eligibility, but again, he will be an outfielder. If he can put together a full 140, 150 game season like he did this past year, he will be a hot commodity in the waiver wires if he wasn't already drafted. I think he probably should have been drafted. He's shown he can do what he needs to do to stay on the field and be a producer both at the plate and in the field. However, you know there's always going to be a but if I talk someone up. He did have 11 errors in the field. So whether he is playing shortstop or outfield, which obviously 11 errors in the outfield would be terrible, 11 at shortstop, understandable. Gunnar Henderson made 25. So again, if we can get those errors down, the pitching, which needs all the help they can get, will absolutely love Tyler Fitzgerald even more. Another young guy I want to talk about in this outfield who I actually do have on some of my teams is Heliot Ramos. He showed why he had some hype and why he was in the top 10 prospects for this organization from 2018 to 2022 and in the top 100 MLB prospects from 2018 to 2021. He had 20 plus home runs and he had 72 RBIs. 22 home runs to be exact and almost an 800 OPS. If he's able to hit in the top half of the lineup, he will absolutely be able to produce. However, he might settle in the middle depending on Jung Ho Lee, who is going to start the season on the IL or has a very good chance to because of a shoulder injury. He could absolutely entrench himself in those top probably 2 or 3 batters because of course we want Matt Chapman in the 4th spot, but they do have some guys who they can put in front of him or behind him to help them get around and to get Heliot Ramos around again because he does steal a few bases. I think he had 6 last year, so again, for a non-running team, 6 might, be 3rd on the team. Speaking of Jung Ho Lee, his first year over here with the Giants was pretty disappointing. He only played in 37 games because he crashed into a wall, catching a fly ball, hurting his shoulder, and was eventually done for the season. Looking at the stats, they were absolutely not his KBO numbers, but again, that was against different competition, and these were in a 37-game sample. Now, over the entire season, the walks could be where they were in the KBO level. He averaged 50 to 60 walks. He had 10 in 37 games. Multiply that by 5, somewhere in there. The home runs, he not really a big home run hitter, but he had a few. So again, over a 150 game schedule, he could obviously surpass what his normal is. He did have some 2 outlier seasons where he had like 20 plus, but again, outliers. He is definitely going to be an on-base machine, again, if his shoulder stays healthy. And that's going to be great as a table setter or for someone to get around potentially stealing bases, maybe. He wasn't a huge base stealer. He did reach double digits a few times in the KBO, but again, different level of competition. Let's remember, if he's facing Logan or Hoppy, he could definitely run. If Jung Ho Lee and Haley Ramos can both get on base at a constant level, that could bruise a lot of opportunities for RBIs and just runs in general for Matt Chapman, even batting less than 250, to get the Giants some wins this season. The next guy we're going to talk about is Thairo Estrada. He had 2 really productive seasons from 22 to 23, where he had a minimum of 260 batting average, 49 RBIs, 14 home runs, and 20 plus stolen bases. However, he fell off in 24. It could have been due to injury, but his performance got so bad he was demoted. A few days later, he opted out and did sign a 1-year contract with the Rockies. Unfortunately, in 2025, he's going to start on the shelf after being hit on the hand by a pitch, breaking it, and he will be out 2 months. Depending on the Rockies' production at second base or some of the outfield positions, especially with the recent trade of Nolan Jones, Thairo Estrada could play second or he could be an outfielder. I assume he's going to be second. That's his natural position. But there's a hole. He's been gone. If they have production at second, why reinvent the wheel if they are doing well? Another infielder who I personally think had a down season was late night Lamont Wade Jr. In 23, he was a walk machine. 76 walks against 98 strikeouts, was getting 17 home runs, giving some RBIs, and this was as a leadoff guy. So then moved to 24, I'm thinking, ooh, let me get my OPS league, let me get him, and let me win. Well, he only had 62 walks. And you might think, whoa, dude, that's 14 less walks. Is that really a big deal? Well, he only had single-digit home runs. Some of his averages dropped. His percentages dropped. Come on, man. Can't be having that. So, while he didn't actually have a terrible season, he actually also did cut down in strikeouts. So, he went 62 for 90. Those are the 76 to 98. So, here and there, tit for tat. But again, I'm going to be looking at Lamont Wade Jr. If he can get off on the right track, I feel good because, again, walks are huge to get OPS up. Now, I'd love for him to be able to hit a few more home runs, but if he's a leadoff guy, he's not Kyle Schwarber, but I'd still like some home runs. As we get to pitching, we understand as baseball fans, you have an ace who really sets the table for the rest of the staff, and then there's some drop-off as you get to number 5 or 6, however many pitchers you have. Then swingmen, that's a whole different story, though. But the drop-off from Logan Webb to the rest of the staff is astronomical. Logan Webb led the team in everything except holds and saves. But he could probably try to lead the team in holds and saves too. But the thing is, he had over 200 innings pitched. The next closest was 124. There were some relievers who had more innings pitched than starting pitchers. The biggest issue and the biggest disappointment with this rotation is the fact that Kyle Harrison and Jordan Hicks completely fell flat. Both of them had a 4+ ERA. Both of them had whips 1.3 or higher. Both of them did start 20 games. Hicks just got to 20. And both of them were barely going 5 and change. Maybe 5 1/3 if they were lucky. So very few quality starts between them. In fact, only 12. We're talking about guys like Zach Wheeler getting 20 plus himself. And these two combined for 12? Kyle Harrison was one of the top prospects in this organization and the top pitcher at one point in time. So having a 4.5 ERA with a 1.3 whip is not sexy. Over his game started, he did have 9 quality starts, so that's good. He also did have 124 innings pitched and 118 strikeouts, so that wasn't terrible. But Jordan Hicks, on the other hand, only started 20 games. He also had 9 appearances out of the bullpen, so some of these 109 innings pitched didn't even go towards a start. In those 109 innings pitched, he had 96 strikeouts, so he fell a little bit shorter of what we expected from him as someone who was a closer at one point, or at least a relief guy, to get more strikeouts than innings pitched, and he didn't. He, on the other hand, had a 4.1 ERA and a 1.45 whip. Another rookie we were talking about, like Kyle Harrison, was Hayden Birdsong. If you thought Harrison's stats were bad, good lord. 16 games started, 72 innings pitched, 4.75 ERA. He had a 1.39 whip. He had 1 quality start. And in those 72 innings pitched, he had 43 walks. What's a positive on this guy? Why should we think about this guy moving forward as a potential starter? Well, I guess they like the 88 strikeouts and 72 innings pitched, so he's going to be your 5th starter this year in 2025, Giants fans. Now, Once you get to the bullpen, I think you're in good shape. The 2024 bridge to the closer was phenomenal. Once you got to the closer, it was like putting a glass cannon next to a furnace. Started off decent, started off in shape, started off how it was supposed to, as a glass cannon, and very quickly faded. It was gone. And that's what Camilo Doval was. Now, the bridge to get to Camilo Doval, Eric Miller. You also had both Rogers brothers and Ryan Walker. Ooh, dang. That was a great 4 guys to get to Camilo Doval, only to screw it up. Tyler Rogers edged Taylor Rogers in WHIP, but Taylor Rogers edged Tyler Rogers in ERA, and they both had 50 strikeouts. Eric Miller wasn't as sexy, had a 3+ ERA, but did strike out 87 batters in 67 innings, so that's pretty good. Then we get to Ryan Walker, who was absolutely the most efficient. He had a sub-2 ERA and a sub-1 WHIP. In 80 innings pitched, he also had 99 strikeouts. He eventually took over as closer as Doval just absolutely imploded and will start 2025 as their main closer. Camilo Doval was the unquestioned closer going into 2024, and he did decent the first half of the season, then fell off the face of the earth on the second half. ERA went up to 5, WHIP was 1.5 or higher, and he blew 5 saves. He was demoted to a reliever, but did still have 78 strikeouts over 50 innings. With 5 holds, he was able to get his ERA down to 4.8 and his WHIP down to 1.5 still, so it wasn't great. But he will start 2025 as a setup guy. He could very well work himself back into high leverage, but again, you have some guys who are in that position who are awesome. We just finished talking about the bullpen, so we'll go ahead and get to the people they lost, starting with Taylor Rogers, so no longer with Tyler. Taylor is with Cincinnati. Another big arm they lost out of the rotation was Blake Snell. That's a huge loss, actually. They also lost some bats, which include Thairo Estrada, Mark Canha, and the biggest one, probably Michael Conforto. Now, who did they gain? They did pick up a guy named Justin Verlander. He has a little bit of history in the league. Then because they lost an infielder, they brought an infielder back in Willie Adames. He had a huge year with Milwaukee in 2024. However, I don't see him doing it again in 2025 with this bigger park, with the less running. I just don't see it. Now, he could get lucky, get Jung-Ho Lee and Lamont Jr., and then also, of course, we talked about Mr. Helio Ramos. Get them on base, get some home runs, get some RBIs, and help the Giants win, but I don't see him doing that much. 2025 Giants will be decent. I think they'll definitely be 500 as long as the guys on offense can do their job. The pitching is decent. They brought in a few older guys. They do still have Webb, of course. They do have Verlander. They have Robbie Ray. But then it's a little bit of a drop-off. They're going to need a little bit more help there. Jordan Hake's going to need to step up. And then Hayden Birdsong. The bullpen, on the other hand, looking good. I do feel strongest about this bullpen. They'll definitely be well, but again, they have to get the pitchers to ideally, 6 innings, get a quality start. Then it'll be 7, 8, 9, no problem at all. When you start to bring Camilo Doval in big situations, that's why I'm getting a little nervous. But again, he could work himself back into high leverage situations. Tomorrow, we're going to be heading to Arizona to talk about the Diamondbacks. They made some moves losing big guys, but bringing in some big guys as well, especially ace Corbin Burnes. This is JK, and I want to thank you for sharing part of your day with me.